The purpose of this little conversation we're having with you, Dr. Torre-Bueno, is that you're really good at explaining technical subjects and making them comprehensible, especially where visual aids are required, since you can sketch them freehand. So we've got you in front of your whiteboard, and I just want to ask you a battery of questions about some of the more technical aspects and some of the more financial aspects having to do with renewable energy, energy efficiency, and the dollars and cents of investing in the environment, and also trying to reap a benefit for yourself and your family and your community by doing so. So, so the first thing that I really wanted to ask about is, there's a lot of misunderstandings about how solar systems work and how much power they produce and what this means and the whole nine yards. Can you kind of sketch out basically how that works?
I guess there are people who imagine that since computers have become hundreds of times more powerful over a period of time and shrunk, that why don't solar panels follow the same path? Mm-hmm. And the difference is that a computer is just doing calculation. It doesn't matter how big the memory elements are as long as they have the right answer in them. A solar collector is collecting power that's falling on the earth at a certain density. It can't become smaller and still be effective because it relies on being big enough to intercept a certain amount of energy.
Right.
As it happens, that area required isn't that big. The amount of energy that falls on the roof of most houses and most single-story buildings exceeds the energy that's used in the building. Now, solar panels aren't 100% efficient. Right now, the very best ones you can get are 19% efficient. Very expensive ones made for use in space can be in the 35%. But at this moment, you can put enough solar on the roof of a house to meet your electricity needs. I think if there's a single message people need to get, it's that this business about when will solar be cheaper than other sources of power, it's not some future thing. In Southern California, where there's a great deal of sun and power is expensive, we've already crossed the point where an optimal combination of high efficiency things in the house and a reasonable amount of solar on the roof will produce energy at a cost that's lower than continuing to pay your electricity bill. And that's based on, of course, there's a trade-off. The difference is electricity you pay every month forever. Solar is an expense you buy and produces power for decades into the future. At the current cost of money, at the current cost of solar, it's cheaper to install solar even if you have to borrow money than to keep paying your utility bill, assuming you do efficiency measures with that. As you keep hearing about breakthroughs, solar will become much cheaper, and therefore it might be a wise thing to do to wait.
Right.
That's a misunderstanding based on a failure to appreciate how the market works. Where you have a commodity that's being sold and you have some substitution for it.
Wait a second. How is solar a commodity? Because this is something that we get all the time. Everybody's always asking us, what are the best panels? And people act like there's their Mercedes of panels, there's the Toyota of panels, there's the, there's better or worse panels. What do you mean a commodity?
There's two. It's a commodity in the sense that it produces electricity, which is a commodity, is what I meant. Addressing the question of the quality of panels, there's basically two qualities to a panel. One is its durability, the other is its efficiency. As it happens, solar is priced by the watt by all manufacturers.
Right.
So when somebody says, I'll sell you this panel and it's so many dollars a watt, and this other guy says, I'll sell you this panel at so many dollars a watt, they've already taken into account the efficiency. So the guy selling the more efficient panel is selling you a smaller physical panel, but it's going to produce this rated wattage. The main reason that you'd pay for a high efficiency panel is that you have limited space.
Right.
And therefore you can fit more watts per square foot if you use high efficiency panels. The people selling low efficiency panels adjust the pricing accordingly. They're not charging you for the panel. Sometimes people ask, how much is this going to cost me per panel? Totally wrong question. Panels can differ by 50% in their efficiency. So this panel might produce half the energy that that panel produces. So you shouldn't ask per panel, you should ask per watt.
So the real question when you're installing a solar system, if you're a homeowner or a business owner, is how much am I paying per what? Per what unit of measure are you looking for?
Well, when it's sold wholesale, they're priced per watt. When it's sold retail, you should be asking, how much is this going to cost me to replace a certain amount of electricity?
Okay.
And
how is that represented? I mean, what's the final number? I mean, people
Well,
get
all
look. We routinely talk to potential clients or actual clients who have gotten a half a dozen bids, every one of which is presented in a totally different way, and they're being sold on the excellence of the panels and the reputation of the installer, on the fancy promotional materials. I mean, there's all kinds of crap circulating out there. What's the bottom line?
Bottom line is you're trying to displace an existing expense. If you got an electric bill,
Right.
you're going to get a bill every month. It's like having a debt that you can never pay off and where the payments are going to go up in every future year.
Right. So obviously a lousy situation to be in.
So you have an expense.
Right.
You have a chance to make a capital investment that will reduce or eliminate that expense.
Right.
So the real question is, if I make this capital investment, what's my return on investment, or what's the amount I'm going to have to pay if I borrow the money to make this capital investment? Your goal is to wind up with a payment which is less than your current electric bill. And here in California, if solar is accompanied by efficiency measures, it's possible to put together a combination of things which will do that. So people should be looking at the end result. Can I get rid of my electric bill at a cost where my carrying cost for doing that is less than my current electric bill? The answer is yes, it's possible.